Welcome back. It's still a Happy New Year. Let's wish my viewers together. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. You know how it is, and you experience something and you want to share it. Now we've learned about these two authors, but this one changed my mind, or this is more like my level. This is my age. You know, I could connect with getting to a point in life when you're like, oh my God, is this what it is like? You know, I was like, I was telling myself, I'm getting close to the end. And then smart money woman, what it did for me was, man, this is how these young girls think. You know, I mean, there's even somebody called her this one in the book.
Yes, but she's very different from you.
Yes, she is. She's young and she's married to some...
She's married to a guy who basically puts her in a lot of debt and financial
Do young men
problems.
do that too? Because most of you are they're very accomplished now, and then they're marrying guys who probably are not as accomplished as they are.
You know, I think that is very interesting. I think that what happens to this, what happens to a lot of women, but because there's so much secrecy and shame when it comes to bad things that happen in marriages, we don't really talk about it as a society. So it's one of the things I really wanted to bring some light to.
But then a lot of people don't know that you yourself had some marital problems.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, I did.
So one of those that you wish you had known better.
I did. I do wish I had known better. I wish that I had made
a more conscious
decision, a more intentional decision. But I think, life happens, you learn from your mistakes, you learn from your experiences, you don't let them define you.
So that's what's key. As people enter into 2017, if there's nothing at all, what are the 3 key things you would say that an aha moment like you had that made you put this down in book is something that they would find in here?
Okay, New Year resolutions. Come January, we're all making New Year resolutions. But when it's in the intellect alone, it doesn't work out. So within a week, 2 weeks, you start falling apart, and and by June you've forgotten all about it. Something has to drive you. It's got to be from the heart. You must have that motivation. That motivation must come from the heart. For me, really, it was knowing God, knowing Christ. And
you're not a pastor, are you?
I'm not. But I found out that it's being the best that you are is because of Him. Okay, I want to live a life of excellence, a life of excellence by God's standards. So I look to Him, and that excellence drives me, okay, because I want to be the best for Him. And so you have to be at the level where you have the right motive, something that, you've become committed to. Without that commitment, that thing that gives you the commitment, it can't happen.
So Nadu, you're successful, whether you like it or not. You've raised 3
Amen.
and they're all doing well. Your graduates, everything. In fact, proceeds from this are going into a foundation.
It's going not a foundation. It's a trust fund. So the money is going into a trust, and then it's being shared among 6 ministries that have identified.
So when she's talking about position of comfort, she has money, she did the right things,
Well, there were lots of things I didn't do right.
So, that brings me to the question of financing, because Arese...
And that's one of the areas I didn't do right. I tell you, honestly.
Oh, really?
Honestly.
You see, so this book, you also think something like this is...
Oh, it's important. And one of the things I also talk about in the book that I think is a major thing is about taking ownership of your life.
Absolutely.
And your life is about the mental, it's about the spiritual, it's about the physical, it's about the emotional.
Body, mind, and soul.
So the physical is also about this, naira and kobo. So being intentional, honestly, about your finances, honestly. So taking ownership of your life.
You find you had to do it. Now, you think it's a responsibility to get people to begin to do it, not waiting for that moment when you have to do it.
Yeah, of course. I think that because of the way that, we're programmed in our society...
What's that program?
So we tend to measure financial success based on people's spending patterns. So you say,
my Gucci bag.
Yeah, this woman, dresses nice, she goes on holidays, she has a designer wardrobe, so she must be wealthy. But real wealth is measured by how much you're able to keep and convert into assets. So you're measuring, when we talk about people that are wealthy, we say, this person's on the Forbes list. What we're using to measure them is their net worth.
It's not the cars they have.
It's not the cars that they have.
It's not their assets hair that they have.
I know. It's their assets minus their liabilities. So how do we get young people from a very early age to start having those conversations about money and saying, do you know what? I need to pay special attention to my net worth and building assets.
It's easy to do that.
I think saving is about discipline. I think it's about stop selling yourself this story about how, when I make more money, I would save. It's about creating that discipline even when you earn a little. So that when you have a lot, that discipline's already there.
Okay, now you guys tell me, it was a tough 2016 financially, things were the crunch. What is the projection for 2017 based on the kind of mindset that we have? What do you think, Nadu?
Well, 2017 doesn't look as if it's going to get any better, but, it's an attitude of the mind. I think that, in challenges give opportunities for solutions. And I think that there's just so much in our environment that if we have the right attitude, and we're problem-solving and solution-oriented, that this
I completely
2017
agree. I completely agree. I think that 2016 was such a tough year. Like, I was saying to people that on one hand, I was living my dreams, and on the other hand, it was a nightmare. But you've learn to deal with the adversity. You don't allow fear to overcome you. And like you said, you have to be really value-driven. I've been saying to all my friends, you can't continue to complain about what's wrong in the economy, because what I found is that after every recession, there's a new crop of billionaires. Why? Those are the people who were solving problems while the rest of us were complaining.
Wow.
So how do we, create value that people are going to pay you for? So figure out what you're good at, where you're uniquely positioned, and what resources you have to solve problems.
So I think you guys are going to give back. Nadu says she's going to give some copies of these to people who answer some smart questions, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so is Arese.
I want the book to go out there, actually. Not just for the money. The money is good because it'll go to the trust fund, but I want you to, to
learn to live deliberately.
Yeah, to learn to live deliberately. There's just so much.
Well, now you live off this now.
I'm very Ijebu. It's only because of Arese that I'm going to do this freebies thing, because I'm very impact driven, but I need to be commercially successful as well. So I'll give 2 books because I love Arese.
And because you also want them to learn.
Yes,
but the key really is.
Buy the book.
But it's also about the time of life, At the time of life where she's in her most productive and all that, and this is the time that she has to really
So, your final giveaways on Smart Money Woman. Don't do this, do this, do this. Just tell me like that.
I think one, especially with recession and the fact that inflation is around 18% and it's probably going to go up, I think people need to spend intentionally. You need to figure out what you want the money that you earn to do for you, and you need to cut your expenses ruthlessly on the things that you don't care about and spend on the things that you love. So if you like, 3 things, you have to know that your resources are very limited. So every choice you make has to be intentional. If you spend here, it means that you're taking away from money that you can spend here. So
like Ashebi, I remember, is it Zuri that was earning quite well as well? And she was single, yet she was struggling to pay her bills.
Exactly. So because we always think it's about earning more as opposed to converting a proportion of our income into assets that can pay us in the future.
So spend wisely. Save well.
Yes.
And acquire assets.
Yes.
And assets
and
are
also
not...
look for, I think that in 2017 especially, we need to become more creative about the way that we solve problems and look for extra ways to earn.
Really? So there's going to be more tour of this book?
Yes, I'm relaunching the tour this year. There's going to be the Smart Money Woman Book Tour 2.0. We're taking the tour across Africa, 10 cities in Nigeria, 5 or 6 countries in Africa, and then we're taking it to Europe and North America as well.
Oh, wow. Your hands are busy. Your hands are full.
Yeah.
How about you, Nadu? What are the things that they should know as they're going into 2017?
I think, again, like I've said, you need to have something that's the driver.
So do 1, 2, 3.
Know who you are. What's your purpose? At least try to determine that, And then when you do that, make sure you're living life consciously. Be aware of the choices that you are making. And then have a plan for your life. When you have that plan, you have then to work towards it, learning and growing and being disciplined. Discipline, you can start with the right ideas and all that, but without discipline, you can't finish.
Because you, for example, have always journaled. There's just one quote
not always, 2004.
Started journaling.
2004.
At that point, you know you're going to write a book.
No, I didn't know I was going to write a book at that point, but I was just learning and growing. And I find that if you don't put down what you're learning or where you found it, things that you connect with, you will forget. So I started that, of journaling.
Well, take it from me. These are 2 books that you should have in hand this year. And there's 2 books that will help you to grow, and you should go pick your copy. But, I take from one of the quotes in your book, and I must read it. It said, great books help you understand, and they help you feel understood. So in this, you're going to understand why you need to manage your money right. And in this, you're going to know why you need to manage your mind right. It's an attitude thing. And for Nadu, it was anchoring in God. And same for both of them. But the truth is, money and your mind, they are key. Get those books to help you do that. Amongst other books, of course. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. We have this done eventually. And remember, personal development is important. So also is leadership. We'll see you again next week. Have a wonderful 2017.
Bye.